Hi, my name is Mandolin Royal, and today, of course, I'm standing out in the barn staring at birds after getting chores done. And I've been contemplating diet, and I'm going to show you the first batch of chicks that hatched back on Monday. I'm also going to show you the label to a new feed supplement that I've been using for almost 2 months now. It's made by Fertrell, and I noticed a difference in the activity levels of the birds 3 days into feeding it. And now that we're into hatch season, I'm curious to see what changes in their development, in their growth, and figuring out what flaws I've been seeing in the birds that might actually be dietary and not genetic. So I haven't been hatching from these guys because they're too young, but I'm really excited by what I see in there. And I have another pen in here. This is a young male, and I intentionally picked him for the 3 girls in there because all of them have bent toes. So when I collect the eggs out of this pen, I put them in the incubator, label them by what pen they came from. Now that they have been thoroughly supplemented, I can see then how many offspring come up with bent toes or not. If none of them show it, that means it was dietary. Even though all of the parents show it, now that they're getting the supplements, their offspring potentially won't show it. So that'll be intriguing to see. The girls in here currently fertilized by tornado, so I'm going to have to give them 30 days to clear out. And this male has never been with hens before, so he's probably going to need about 30 days to figure out his lifestyle change. He's being very polite and very passive, and he's a little bit confused. I have eggs from these guys in the incubator from both of these pens, as well as the eggs fertilized by Tornado from these girls. And Tornado, he didn't have perfect toes either. But let me pause this for a second and show you the label of what we're supplementing with as a top dressing to their regular feed. And then I'm going to take you into the hatch room and show you some babies and what's going on there. Alright, so in case you were wondering, it's a universal truth that as soon as you put a chicken somewhere clean, the first thing they do is poop on it. Every single time. But in looking at this little sample here, all of them right now at 5 days old have straight toes. Nothing's doing anything crazy. Which implies that if it was something genetic, they would have hatched with it. And if it was something tied in with incubation conditions, they would have hatched with it. And they didn't hatch with it. So we're going to watch and see what happens over time and with more growth. And another thing I'm going to monitor is check out the down color. This guy has a lot of orange in there, whereas some others are very, very white. So we're going to watch their growth and see if that has any influence over them turning yellow once they reach to that 6, 7, 8 month old point. Because if I can see it early at this age, then I can start sorting for it earlier. When it comes to space and resources and getting them grown, the earlier you can sort them out, more appropriately you can allocate your resources for what you keep to grow. This one's pretty white too, but he's got a little yellow on top of the head. But just that color difference, what is that going to mean? And then watching the feet, because these are not the feet that their parents have, that's for sure. We are starting to see the darker coloration coming in. When they hatch, they do have yellow feet, and then over the first couple of weeks, they start turning blue. Temperament-wise, this is pretty typical, where they're not afraid. I do like that about them because it makes it a lot easier to handle them. But nutritionally, what you put in is pretty much what you can expect for them to put out. And it's a lot more complex than I ever gave it credit for. I used to just, go to the feed store, buy some feed, bring it home, feed it to them. Not really paying attention to the back of the bag and those details after the protein content. I did learn a long time ago that 16% layer feed is pretty much only suitable for kitchen eggs, not for hatching. So I've been going down this path of learning about the nutrition and the amino acids, the micronutrients, and all of that. And there's a pretty good book by Jeff Maddox that goes into the feeding and management of pretty much pastured poultry, which is what we do here. We're not doing commercial strains, we're doing slower grown birds, but still hoping for immediate results, so that has its own nutritional needs. But I'm gonna watch these babies and see what happens with the new supplement that they're on, that their parents were also on. And I'm hoping to see differences in their feathering, differences in their perkiness, overall health, and then of course the toes. If they stay straight like that, that solves my biggest complaint with what my birds do. And if it was dietary this whole dang time, man, I could have saved myself a lot of grief. So by doing this video, I'm hoping to save you guys some grief so that you know to look into the particulars of what you're feeding and look at your flock goals and your resources to source the best that you can so that you can get the best results that you can. Every hatch season, it's about results and doing better than the season before. I'm going to go ahead and show the cover of the book that I read that had my mind blown by page 15 of stuff that I hadn't thought about before. So it'll probably do the same thing for you. I'll also put a link in the description on where you can get that book. It may or may not be life-changing, but it was definitely insightful. So it's going to totally change my whole outlook on this season. And I'm going to research what's a genetic fault and what was dietary so that I can eliminate the dietary stuff and really, really start to focus on the genetics. So more on this later.